Every culture has its stories about small beings causing mischief, repairing shoes at night, or even leading children off into the woods to never be seen again. Oral traditions carry these tales back hundreds, if not thousands of years, and it seems no part of the world is free from these small beings, whether they be known as gremlins, goblins, grindilo, or the duendes that hide in the walls of bedrooms of children in the Americas. The author has heard multiple stories from residents of Albuquerque who claim to have seen menacing gnome-like figures in their homes as children. The tiny bearded humanoids, without exception, have proven to be, if not malevolent, then at least mean-spirited. Hispanic culture has a host of evil spirits and entities, from La Llorona to Luz Mala, that are either meant to scare young children into obedience or actual terrors that haunt the nightmares of believers. For 23-year-old Jacqueline, stories of Duende, tiny mischievous gnome-like beings, were a part of her childhood. Her mother had stories of her own run-ins with the tiny terrors, but for Jacqueline, they were mostly just stories. Mostly. Honestly, I was kind of a believer, she said of her mother's stories, but in truth, no one can truly believe unless they've seen. For Jacqueline, seeing wasn't believing, but what she experienced was enough to send her running for home and ensure she doesn't walk alone in a dark alley ever again. It was sometime around 2015 when the Texas native moved into the Avenue R apartments in Lovington with her mother. It seemed like a perfectly normal apartment complex, and Jacqueline didn't give a single thought to the supernatural. Why should she? It was a modern apartment complex in a bustling little part of town. Ghosts and goblins are for far-off lands in drafty castles or dark haunted forests. Then out of the blue, the paranormal intruded on Jacqueline's life. I had this old TV and the power button was missing, so I had to plug it in to turn it on and unplug it to turn it off, she said. One day I was getting ready for school and it just came on. It wasn't even plugged in. Jacqueline could see the cord for the television lying on the floor, feet from the wall socket. It started playing music and stayed on for a good minute, she said. Then it went off, and the one in the living room came on. It was on the Cartoon Network, and I know that's not the channel it was on when I turned it off. From there, the activity in the home began to pick up. Sometimes when I would stay home alone, it would sound like the chairs would move in the kitchen, she said. I got goosebumps and I thought it had to be a ghost. But was it just a ghost? Or was it perhaps a duende? Jacqueline's mother had told her stories of the mischievous little creatures, and that her great-grandparents had told stories of getting rid of them by leaving a trail of sugar out of the door of the home. Apparently, they say there are good and bad duendes, Jacqueline said. Mom said to get rid of them, put a trail of sugar out the door so they can leave. She said we used to live in this small house in Hobbs. Her and my sister's dad were arguing one night and the light just went off in the bedroom, and they both heard little footsteps run out of the room. It wasn't much later that Jacqueline would have her own run-in with a diminutive duende. My then boyfriend came to hang out with me. This is a bus stop. There is a bus stop behind the apartments, and his sister called and told him she'd pick him up there. It was about 9 or 10 p.m. Jacqueline and her boyfriend ventured out into the dark alley behind the apartment complex, walking hand in hand as couples are wont to do. Suddenly, from the bushes came a childlike giggle, but it was no human child. The very sound of it sent a bolt of cold terror through Jacqueline's heart. The bus stop was in sight just ahead, a lone streetlight offering a pale halo of safety, and the taillights of Jacqueline's boyfriend's awaiting sister shone like a beacon. I told him I was going back to my apartment right there, Jacqueline said. She turned and ran for home. The unseen and unknown terror in the dark seemed nipping at her heels. Whether her boyfriend also ran for the perceived safety of the parked car ahead, who can say? But what can be said is the next day at school, he told her a tale that sent ice running through her veins again. His sister told him that while she was waiting for him, she looked up, and this figure ran across the road in front of her towards the apartments. She said it was like a child, but smaller, and it moved really quick. It gave her the chills. It wasn't a child. Jacqueline and her mother moved away from the apartments not long after that, and so far nothing paranormal has happened yet. But who can say when or where the Duende will appear, and what walls they might be hiding in right now?